Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Jacation Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about things to do on long road trips and wrapping up our December 2020 Black Hills adventure. Hello and welcome to the Jacation Podcast. My name is Jacob, and this is my co-host slash co-star.
Today I'll be a star, and my name's Jane. I sound
Oh,
happier this week.
oh gosh. We want to thank you real quick for watching or listening to our first episode. It
Yeah,
did
no one
really
wants to
well.
watch.
Yeah,
We have the faces for radio.
that's right. It did really well, and I'm so super encouraged by that, and we just want to thank you. And before we get started, I also wanted to talk quickly just about Jacation. This podcast is part of our Jacation blog, which you can visit at www.jacation.club.
Mhm.
We also have an Instagram at Jacation Adventure and a Twitter at Jacation Travel, so you know where to find us, look us up, follow us. And if you have a question for that you'd like us to answer on the podcast, please email us at jacation.adventure@gmail.com. The link will be in the description or wherever I put it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, I also want to say something about our pictures that we show on our Instagram account. They are all our pictures.
Yes.
We've taken every single one of them.
Except one of them who I got from a
Oh,
friend who let us, but like the
oh,
other
but we right.
the other 144, or how many are up there now,
Yes, I forgot about that Death
but
Valley
all of,
picture.
yeah, that our friend got for us.
So this is just another little thing quick that I thought of. Jacob loves to take pictures of just things, whereas
Yes,
I'm
there's no
always
people in
or
mine.
places, right? And I'm always like, "Oh, you guys get in this picture, get in this picture." So it's kind of funny when we started doing this. Doing our blog and everything that we were talking about, oh, we've got all this photography. Well, mine, it's got us sticking our faces in everything because it's like, oh, look, here we are, here we are. And Jacob is
uh,
all about just taking pictures of places. So I've
yes,
been trying to do a little bit better about doing that just because we have a little bit more material
yeah.
to work with because no one wants to see us. And usually it's really bad selfies. So that I'm trying to take. It's like I always say, "Hey, family selfie time," and then everyone rolls their eyes, and then we try to wedge in there. We're always looking not where we should be, and it's just ridiculous. So anyway, but all of our so anyway, I just want to say all of our photography is ours. So it's all
Yes,
places that we've been, which is kind of fun
it is.
for us.
So let's talk about car trips. Now we're very
Oh.
experienced with these.
Well, yeah, we are.
We go far on the first day,
Yeah,
usually, of our trips. Like I was thinking, we drove from Kansas City to Buffalo, which is what, 11,
and that's Buffalo, Wyoming, not New
Buffalo,
York,
Wyoming, which is a
right?
long ways away. And
Mm-hmm.
those long trips are boring, and especially
But
when you're driving through the plains or
right.
just scenery that isn't very exciting. You need something to pass the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought we'd have a fun little segment and talk about that today.
And you could
Now
talk
the
about this because it is the nerdiest thing ever, you guys.
Oh, well,
Nerdy.
yeah, nerd alert. So,
It's
um,
fun, but it's super nerdy.
oh yeah. So, okay, the first one, of course, is the license plate game. Everybody knows
Oh,
this one.
but you need to talk about your spin on it,
Well,
right?
I mean, yeah, there's two different games. So the license plate game is, just whenever you see a state, you just cross it off the list.
Uh-huh.
And it's kind of fun. What is okay, on our Yellowstone trip, there was like one state that or on our glacier trip, There was one
uh,
state they were missing. I think it was like Delaware.
something like that.
And like we got all the others, including Hawaii,
Right.
and we were missing Delaware. And then it's
Uh-huh.
like on the second day of our Yellowstone trip in the Walmart parking lot, there was a Delaware.
Yeah, we stopped at that Walmart in Cody right
Yeah,
outside
in Cody,
Yellowstone.
Wyoming to pick up
And we're
some
like,
things for the cabin.
whoa.
But that
That's what we yeah, that was weird.
and that is the license plate game is a great game to play.
Hmm.
I mean,
And
it can keep your attention, or at least my attention, for a very long time. I don't get bored with it.
no, but tell them your spin on it.
Okay,
That
so
that's where it becomes nerdy.
the other game you can play is having point values added to this um, to the license plate game. So you can do it in teams. So, or you can just do, one person on a side. And so my other love in this world is politics.
Hmm.
So I I created this stupid little game that is so nerdy and but it's a lot of fun.
It is fun.
It's the race to 270. And if you know what the electoral college is, it's it's how the United States votes for a president, and each state is given a certain number of electors based on their population.
Hmm.
So the number of electors is the number of points per for that state. Now, if you're like
Hmm.
me, you know every state's electoral votes.
And who's like you, honestly?
Well, not
No
many
one.
people. So,
No one.
California has 55, Florida has 29, Louisiana has 8, you know. And
Okay,
this is
so
you can look it up and find it.
here's
And
the
so
thing about this game. Like I'm driving, Jacob is shouting out numbers, and I pretty much, I mean, he he could just be lying because
yeah.
I have no idea what these numbers are going to be. I mean, and
Well,
he's always
so
like,
yeah.
"Oh, go ahead."
Well, so the first person to shout out the state, like the first person to see it, gets
Mhm.
that point value. So it's like if
Mhm.
I see Nevada first, I cross it off the list and I get 6 points for that.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just kind of a fun game. And, the winner to win, you have to get to 270 votes, which is one more than half.
And just like what the president has to get, right?
Yes, what you have to
Okay.
get to win.
It's like right because
Yes, that's
I don't
right.
ever know.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
this
help
isn't
me out
supposed to
here.
be a political podcast, but it's kind of turning into one.
Right. So that's why I mean,
So
I can do
that is a
lots of
very
things.
nerdy game.
Yeah.
Um,
It's hilarious. So I'm driving and Jacob's like spinning around in his seat and then he's like, "Oh, California!" And it's like, "What?" And he's like, "California!" And then he's like suddenly has what, 55? Is that what you just said?
55, yeah.
Yeah, so he automatically has 55 points where I'm just trying not to wreck the car while he's
Uh-huh.
screaming and turning around. And that's the bad thing about me driving. And cuz I can't ever see that, well, sometimes, but anyway, he always gets that in New York and all those, but
Yeah, and the
so
big ones.
it's yeah, and he knows what the big ones are.
And you can color
Pennsylvania.
in a map, and
Oh yes.
it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Another thing you can do, well, I just love counting things, is
Mm,
see how many McDonald's you see on a long trip. I mean, you're
yeah,
bound to see a lot.
right. Yeah.
Different things like that.
I
Uh,
like the alphabet game, but just where you have to find all the letters in the alphabet. I mean, but that's an old game.
yes, that's a good one too. Um,
Hmm.
so there's lots of things you could do to, and I like to think like every time we pass a mile marker, I don't know, math stuff. I like to think about that. But okay,
Yeah,
we're
that's just
heading
we're
too far
digressing.
into the nerd
Yeah.
realm.
Yeah.
So
Well, if yeah.
All
So
right.
anyway, the license plate electoral college game is pretty hilarious.
It is
All
fun.
right. All right.
So,
Well,
shall
let's
we get into our trip?
yeah, let's
Okay,
do.
so let's, pack our bags and head back to South Dakota.
Woot.
Okay, so day 3.
Mhm.
This is good. Well, they were all good days, but this was fun.
Yeah.
So we woke up. We're in our comfort suites.
Mhm.
Um, we got we didn't have to move anywhere today, like switch hotels or anything. So it was just kind of a get your hiking stuff and whatever you need and go.
Mhm.
So we headed. The first thing we did was we headed back to Mount Rushmore.
Yes, because we can't get enough.
That's right. And this time we didn't feel like we were breaking in.
No. No, and
Because,
we had to pay to get in this time, but that's
yes, we
okay.
did pay to get in this time, which it's like
Right.
the monument's so annoying, amazing
Annoying.
that it's
It
totally
doesn't
worth it.
matter. And it's really what they say is the monument itself is free, that you're paying $10
You
to
pay
park,
to park, yes.
but
Yes.
that's fine. And so we did that, we got in, and then I'm pretty sure my um receipt said that that is good for a year, which so this $10 you pay is good for a year. I swore it used to be a week,
Yes,
but
because you kept the receipt.
yeah, so I kept the receipt because with Jacob going to school there next year, I'm sure we'll
Right.
keep it.
It might be good to keep
I'm
that.
getting yeah, you wouldn't believe how much I'm gonna get out of this $10, people. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, they're gonna lose money off of us
For
for
sure.
sure.
That's okay.
So, um, we got out of the car, found the little path,
Oh
that
yeah,
it was kind of like, oh, now we can actually see what we're walking on.
right.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, I encourage you to go listen to episode 1 because we kind of have a funny story about this when we visited the night before.
Mhm.
Um, so we look and it's beautiful. There, Washington had a little bit of snow on them still.
Mhm. Which that was we'd never been there in the winter. So
Yes,
that
and
was
it
kind of neat.
was, oh my gosh, it was just so cool. It looked like
Yeah.
he had a little bit of dandruff. It was kind of funny.
Right. But we were going to hike the trail that goes up closer to the
Yes, the
monument.
presidential trail, which kind of that's a fun trail, and if it's open, please, please,
Yeah.
please, please do it. It's such a
Yeah.
great trail, and you'll get a whole new
Different
perspective.
right, different views and stuff. So we went to
Yes,
walk on that and it was
it was
closed.
closed,
Oh,
unfortunately, but that was okay. I mean, we've walked on
we've
it
been it
before,
before.
so
Yeah. So
we headed down to the visitor center,
mhm.
which I love this visitor center.
Yeah, it is
Um,
really nice.
it opens up facing the monument over the amphitheater where in the summer they have the lighting ceremony where they light up the heads every night.
Mhm.
And so you go in and there's a movie that, oh, who narrates it? I think it's Tom Brokaw.
That's what you said. Oh yeah, yeah, and that's neat too. We didn't see it this time, but we've seen it before.
Yeah, yeah. So go in and see that. It's really cool. And they have some incredible exhibits of what the mountain used to look like before the faces,
Uh-huh.
um, and
And it talks
carving
about how they
out.
chose it and all that.
Yes, yes, and it goes through the entire backstory, and it's just fascinating.
Mhm.
And I think you can find the movie on YouTube
Oh,
if you,
really?
yeah. So if you want to look at it, I think it might be on there.
Oh, that'd be neat.
So, um, it talks about Guts and Borglum, the how they
That's the guy
made the
who
different faces. Yeah, Guts
mhm.
and Borglum's the guy who carved Mount Rushmore.
That's his name?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, and
See, Jacob pays attention to this kind of stuff, and I'm just like, what? Well, I knew it was Borglum because when you're driving through South Dakota, in addition to all of the wall drug signs, there's all these signs about the Borglum story, but it doesn't
oh
say his
yes,
first name. So that's why I was like, it is, but
yeah, and his
that's
son
neat.
Lincoln is the one who finished it.
Oh, okay.
So now you know more than you needed to.
I know, and I probably have seen that movie 2 or 3 times and still can't remember that, but
So we went. Oh, and by the way, there's a great Modern Marvels documentary about this. So
Oh,
about
okay.
Mount Rushmore that I
Mhm.
would encourage everybody to watch. It's fascinating. So
I don't think I've seen that.
they've got all these crazy pictures of making it. It's just awesome. And then of course I got my stamp for my parks
Yes, for your
passport,
passport. Right.
which was great.
Mhm.
So, we stayed there for a few minutes and then maybe half an hour. We weren't there for too long.
No.
And then
And
we
then on.
headed to the car and went west towards towards Hill City.
Oh, was that when we went to Hill City?
Yes.
Oh, okay. See, here's another thing. When we're in the Black Hills, I totally lose all sense of direction. I don't know where we are. I don't know what's going on. It's very confusing to me, and I've driven in there quite a few times, but I don't know. It's just hard. So I when Jacob says we're going west, then I guess we are. I have no idea. Um,
So
but
it's
yeah,
a beautiful drive
it
down
is pretty.
from Mount Rushmore. You pass by a lake,
Mhm.
a small little lake. Oh, and there is a pullout just to the west of Mount Rushmore, and it has a profile of George Washington. So you're kind of off to the side, and you get this cool, different perspective
Mhm.
of what I mean. It was like you're way closer.
Yeah, it's really neat.
It is awesome. So stop there real quick and get a couple pictures. It's really cool to see. So
And
we
it's
headed.
there's even signs that say like profile
Yes,
pull out or
yes,
something like that.
yes.
So
So we headed to Hill City and we stopped at that. Oh, what's that winery?
here's the part I can speak to. The wine. There is this really good winery in Hill City called Prairie Berry.
Uh-huh.
Um, they're famous, I guess they're famous for this wine that's called red ass rhubarb. And
Uh-huh.
it's really good. It's really tart, on the sweeter end of wines, but it's really, really good. And um, I don't know, the first time we went to the Black Hills back in 2010, some friends had told us about it. So um, we had gotten some of the red ass rhubarb at that point, and then now whenever we go out there, I can get it. And usually you can buy it in grocery stores and stuff, but honestly, this winery it's beautiful. And some wineries, are nice and have good wine, but they're not that pretty. This one's just really, really it's quite fancy. In fact, it's good. They have a brewery right next door. But anyway, just this time I just wanted to get some red S rhubarb, and then I saw that they had a Christmas wine called Jingle, and I thought that sounded fun. So we drove over there. All we did this time, I ran in, bought a couple bottles of wine and left. But we drove in and out of Hill City. That's another place that's really crowded in the summer, but just like Keystone, there was nothing going on there this
Well, there
time.
there was more people in Hill
Well,
City than
but
because people
yeah,
actually lived there.
right. But nothing like the summertime.
No, no. So,
So we drove in and out of there, and then we headed to one of our caves. You can talk
well,
about it.
first we passed by
Oh,
Crazy Horse Monument,
oh, right. We did that too, but we
which
didn't get.
no, we didn't stop. It's $40 to get in. And Crazy Horse um is a Mount Rushmore style carving or sculpture, I should say, into
Mhm.
this massive rock, and it is humongous. I
It
mean,
is cool to see.
way bigger than Mount Rushmore. Right
Hmm.
now they have his face completed, and I read they were working on Crazy Horse's knuckles. So what he's doing is sitting on a horse, Crazy Horse is, and his arm is pointing straight out to the south, and his arm is kind of resting on the head of this horse. And so when it's done, and you should really look up pictures of what it's supposed to look like because it is quite amazing.
Mhm.
Um, but they're right now they've got his face, and they've been working on the knuckles of the hand, and they've got like a hole where the gap in between the horse and Crazy Horse's arm will be. So that will be in a million years all carved out.
Yeah, because
Um,
we've been going there for 10 years now, and to me, it
doesn't
looks
look any
exactly the
different.
same.
Yeah. So this is it's I think it's private.
Oh,
Um, see, it's $40 to get in there, and they don't take any federal or state money.
oh,
I mean, it's been offered for them to take it, but that's why it takes so long, and that's why the entrance fee is so expensive, is because they're trying, you're the ones that are donating to it, and that's why it's taken so long, is because the public interest really isn't there
yeah.
to continue this. So, I mean, it's
But I
kind of a sad story, but
Right. Well, I think that if anyone, I mean, just because we didn't go there this time, I don't, we're not saying don't go there.
oh,
I
you
mean, it's
should.
totally interesting.
It
Yeah.
was.
And, huh?
Oh, definitely. And the face
Yeah.
is, oh, I can't remember how much larger than uh, George Washington it is, but it's significantly larger.
Hmm.
And I know don't they have like a 5K run thing? I
Yeah.
think
And
so.
then I don't know if it's once or twice a year, but they have this thing called Volksmarch where you can basically
That's it. Yeah.
walk up the mountain and get like up on, I guess, like you're
The
saying, Jacob,
arm.
it would be his arm, and you're
Yes.
like right there level with his face. A friend of mine, she and her family did it one time. They said it was neat. But anyway, that would be something to do at some point. So just because we've only been to Crazy Horse once, but I mean, I'm not like, "Ooh, I need to go back." I'm not saying that, I but if you've never been, please do go.
Oh,
It's
for
very
sure.
interesting. So,
And you're helping
yes.
out. So
Yeah, and we just you can see it from the highway, but there's
we didn't
really
really have
not.
time because this was December 21st, which that's the winter solstice. So we are like, we got to
Oh,
get a move on.
right. I mean, and it's not like there's a place that you can really pull over for it
No,
where
there's
you are, I
not.
don't feel. I mean,
No.
so we drove by it to and from, but it's like, oh, hey, Crazy Horse, you know.
Yep. So then you head into the town of Custer,
Hmm.
which is in between Jewel Cave National Monument and Custer State Park, which we'll get to later. Um, but we're heading to Jewel Cave National Monument.
Hmm.
So that is to the west. It's 13 miles from Custer. So it is a little bit of a drive, but I mean, not too bad. So,
No,
Jewel Cave, you may not have you may not have heard of it. It's kind of in a little corner by itself. It's not very civilized, I guess.
mm,
But it's one of the longest cave systems in the world. And I was talking to the park ranger at the visitor center there, and they said it might connect to Wind Cave, which we'll be heading to later, but they're not quite sure.
oh yeah.
So, um, so we get
And
to Jewel Cave.
well, here's my favorite part about this cave day is that I actually do not have to go into a cave.
Yes. So
Uh,
as it happened, um, we did not go into the caves, not through any fault of our own, but it was uh I believe in Jewel Cave, they were working on the elevator, and in Wind Cave, because of COVID, they weren't letting anybody down there.
yeah,
So,
something.
yeah, so
Darn, because I really love closed and
well, I think it's cool.
confined
I think you'd
spaces.
like it down there. I
Well,
mean,
and
some of the things.
it's not that I haven't been in. I think they're interesting when I'm in there, as long as I don't have to do any, like, getting down on the ground or squeezing through some tight
Uh-huh.
areas. I mean, if it's mostly just kinda walking along, that's fine, and I've been in some caves, and it's not, I mean, the ones I've been in haven't been horrible, so that's okay. Um, However, thankfully, we did not get in here or sign up for this cave tour of Jewel Cave because, uh, well, it's kind of something that you have to see, but right outside the visitor center, they have something saying if you've signed up for this.
No, okay, so I'll kind of
Oh,
go over this.
yeah.
So there's a few tours that you can actually take. Um, One of them is the Lantern Tour. Now, this is at a different place, a little further down the road, um, that you go into. And this one, there's no light, and they actually give you like the lanterns that cave explorers would use to explore Jewel Cave.
This is a hard no for me,
And
folks.
that's how you kind of explore it. I don't believe it's too strenuous, but the only thing is you hold your own light is the
Well,
only
I don't care.
thing.
That sounds bad.
And then there's another tour, and then there's the one that you're referring to, which is the Wild Cave Tour.
Yeah.
Now I have seen footage of this. Well, both of us have. If any of you are familiar with Rock the Park, there's these two guys who just go around. They're on YouTube and ABC, I think,
Hmm.
and they go around to all these places and just do different things in the national parks. They're kind of fun to watch. And
Hmm.
they did the Wild Cave Tour. And once they got to Jewel Cave, they have to fit through this 8.5 by 24 concrete slab that's like open in the middle to even be eligible to go on this cave tour.
Right. So when you're walking into the visitor center, there's this like this little
Just right outside, yeah.
enclosure. Yeah, this like thing, this concrete box thing that's
Yep.
there.
Uh-huh.
And so you have to fit yourself into there. Well, let me just say there's no way I would be fitting myself in there. I mean, even if I really wanted to go on this tour, I couldn't because there's no way I could make myself that small.
I
Just
mean,
none.
it's a tight squeeze. I was just like, ugh, you
Yeah,
know,
no.
I could fit, but it
Yeah,
wasn't,
you could.
yeah, but it wasn't going to be comfortable by any means.
No, no, it wouldn't really, it wouldn't, I can't talk tonight. It wouldn't be comfortable for many people, I wouldn't think.
No, oh, for sure. So you have to be
It's
pretty much
a child,
weed to fit through this. Yeah, a
a
child.
kindergartner. You have to be in preschool. I don't
Yeah.
know. It just looked horrifying.
But it was
So,
kind of fun to see because I had seen that on Rock the Park, and I'm like,
yeah, it
oh,
was
that's
cool to
this.
see
Yeah,
how
that's what those guys went
horrible.
through.
It's cool to see how horrible it could be on that tour. Just like, ooh, so you get in there, and then on this thing, if you fit through it, you're just like, it's probably like 12 inches across. So I mean, that would be if you stuck your head through there, you would have your head out the other end. Well, if you're actually on this cave tour, it's not like that. It's like you're in a
Well, it's
never
not very
ending,
long. It's
but
not like 20 feet long or anything. It's not
well, I
that.
know, but it's not like you're having there's not a light at the end of the tunnel immediately.
Right, you're in
It
a
just,
cave, so
yeah, yeah, it looks awful. So we didn't have to do this.
yeah.
Basically, we're at this cave, but we're just above
And the surface is very
ground.
pretty.
Oh yeah, it was really neat.
And
Um,
so I went to the visitor center and you guys were in the bathroom and I was nerding out with the
Thank you.
park
I'm in the
ranger.
bathroom while Jacob speaks with the park ranger. This is how
Yes, well,
most of our
I'm always
vacationing
the
goes.
yeah, and I'm getting my park stamp.
Yeah, Jacob is asking these people questions, and I am
Yeah,
in the
I'm like,
bathroom more
"Oh,
like,
have they discovered a natural entrance and blah blah blah." And
I was just like, are there any Doritos in the car? Because
yeah.
something,
So
you
we
know.
took the roof trail, which isn't very long. I think it's 3/4 of a mile.
Uh-huh.
and it's very pretty. There's some very pretty views.
Yeah, it
We
was
were
neat.
taking some senior pictures for me
Right.
there, and
Yeah,
there's some
Jacob.
ponderosa pine trees that we took some
Mhm.
pictures with. That was awesome.
Yeah.
So,
So, yeah, that
I
was
mean,
it
go to
was
see it just for the surface, and
yeah.
it's not busy. I mean,
No,
we're the only ones there. Well, there's that
we were.
family that came once we were leaving, but
Right.
um, it was just beautiful. There's some still snow on the ground. Um, it was great. I had a fun time there.
Yeah, it was nice. We had a good time. Um, then we went back to our car and we have this when we go on vacation, we always bring a loaf of bread and like a jar of peanut butter. And so
And that's a
whenever we
great
get,
thing to have
yeah.
because sometimes you're not going to be very close to food
And yes, in this
or you're not
situation,
going to
we were
have
not.
time.
Uh
So
huh.
it's just like, we just kind of sat in the back of the
Yeah,
car
we
and
were in
just
our,
ate a quick
yeah.
sandwich and some chips and
Yeah.
oh, and
So
by
that
the
was,
way, the national parks are a great place to recycle things.
oh, yeah.
And
Excuse me.
so be sure to do that and throw all your stuff away. Leave no trace. Don't
Exactly.
throw anything on the ground. It drives me crazy and makes me mad when I see
Hmm.
trash on the ground because it's like, these are supposed to be pristine wilderness areas
Hmm.
that you get to go into. So just try to keep them nice and pristine as you can.
Hmm.
So yeah, nothing will put me in a bad mood faster than seeing
Litter.
trash on the ground. Oh my gosh, it drives me absolutely
No, it does.
bonkers.
And then that's what, so we're always, we'll have bottles of water or Gatorade bottles or
Right, in the
my
car, and
husband
it's just
drinks
like
lots of
recycle
Mountain
it
Dew.
there because they have a great recycling
Yeah.
system.
So we always, yeah, as we're leaving the parks, we're always just cleaning out our car, but recycling everything. So
Yes, yes.
anyway,
So
good,
stay
good
green.
point,
That's a
Jacob.
great way
Thanks,
to do it.
thanks for
Um,
bringing that up.
so we had our sandwich,
Hmm.
um, and then so we were like, okay, feeling better. So we headed to
We
our next,
de-escalated.
yeah, what de-escalated. We headed to our next cave slash not
Hmm.
cave,
Cave that I don't have to go in.
another cave that you don't have to go in.
Yay!
So we drove to Wind Cave National
Uh-huh.
Park.
Yeah.
Um, and this is south of Custer. The Park Visitor Center is an hour from Rapid City, so not too far of a drive.
Mm-mm. No.
And it was less time for us. I thought it felt pretty quick.
Oh, I think so.
And we passed by the town of Pringle as I was eating a can of Pringles.
Oh, that's funny.
So we get to the park sign and stop. We got to take a
Yep.
picture by the sign. So Wind Cave is actually one of the oldest national parks that we have, and it's not very visited. And that is a shame. Well, not really. We don't like people, but you know, but I mean, really, these places should be visited.
Right.
So, I was super excited to be here.
Yeah.
And so we
It was a
headed
new
into the
national
park.
park
It was a
for
new
you.
national park, and it's kind of a smaller national park, which you love.
I do. I love a small park that
Because
I
it's
don't have
like you
to.
can knock it out all out and see it.
Uh-huh.
It's not like where can keep coming back and see different things, which I like the bigger parks, but I also like small parks too. I like
Jacob,
them
you just
all.
like parks.
I
Right.
just like parks, right?
Yes.
So we headed to the visitor center.
Hmm.
Um and the visitor center was closed, but the gift shop was open.
Yay.
Yeah. So, but a park ranger came out and was like,
Mm.
"Oh, do you folks, can I help you guys with anything? Do you need help finding anything?" And I kind of asked because we were looking for the bison in the park. We love bison. I mean, they're just
Yeah.
incredible creatures. So I was like, "Oh, where do the bison herds like to hang out?" And you guys went into the visitor center, and I was, talking to her, just getting an idea. I got a park map, which I also collect the park maps,
Mhm.
uh, which are just great. I mean, I have many park maps on my closet door
Yeah, he
from
does. He
national parks. I like to cut them out and put them on my door, and
It's funny.
yeah, I think the video or the theme of this video is Jacob is a super nerd.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much the theme of your existence,
Yeah.
but
So
that's okay. You're
so
awesome.
anyway, we went into the gift shop and I got my next stamp. I This was a great stamp day.
Mhm.
So this was my 19th national park. You're 21st, I think.
Mhm. Yes.
And so you got me those socks for Christmas, which I
Oh, yeah,
love.
so Jacob, like, went out to the car, and I saw these socks that had a map of the Black Hills on them,
Uh-huh.
and I was just like, "Oh, those are awesome." So I picked them up, and then I also got a mask with a bison on it that
Yep,
says
that's right. And I
said the
love
same
that
thing.
mask. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
so anyway, I like to buy I still hadn't bought gifts for him for Christmas, and I kept saying, "Pick out some things that you want." And he wasn't really picking anything, so he went out and I grabbed these 2 things and bought them real quick and shoved them in my purse so he didn't know. So that was a fun little surprise.
Yeah,
But so we went
so what I
oh,
wanted
go
to see when I was walking out was the natural entrance to this cave. So you had to walk up the road a little bit. It wasn't very busy, so it wasn't too dangerous. There wasn't really like a path.
mm-mm,
But I mean the map showed it's like here you walk along the road a little bit to get to this. So we walked to the natural entrance, and it was kind of by the visitor center. We had to loop to the north and then back down
well,
this
explain to
hill.
them what a natural entrance is
S
because he kept saying that and I was just like, "What are you saying and what does this mean?"
Well,
Like,
yeah. So, yeah, you kind of got to bring me back to earth here. I just
yeah, I
assumed that
do because I
everybody
don't
knows what I'm talking
no,
about.
I yeah, everyone needs see, this is why I'm on this podcast because I have to I have to be like, "Okay, Jacob, we have to say what this means," because most of the
Yes.
time, I don't know what it means. I'm sure I sound
So,
completely clueless. I'm not that dumb. I just come off that way.
the
Anyway,
the the natural entrance to the cave is, well, I mean, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but
just say
it's
what it is.
it's just the opening to the cave. So
Right.
that's made naturally. It wasn't dug by humans or anything. It's just a hole in the ground.
Mhm.
And now
Which
some caves have big, massive, natural entrances. Like Carlsbad in New Mexico has a giant one, and some are just straight down, like the caves in the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico have huge entrances. This one is a teeny little hole.
mhm.
I
So
mean,
this
it
is
is
how the cave
small.
was discovered, that it
Right.
even
So
existed.
I'll share that story. It's kind of a cool story. So these two guys happened to be near the cave when they heard this strange noise, and they found this entrance. And the reason it's called Wind Cave is because the cave kind of inhales and exhales out of this natural entrance.
Mhm.
So sometimes wind is blowing out of it and sometimes it's blowing into it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of so you go up and you can go down into this little area. You can't fit through it. It's like, oh, probably a foot wide, wouldn't you say?
I guess. I mean, it looked it seems to me if you could get through that hole at that jewel cave, you could get in this hole maybe. I don't know,
Oh,
but
I don't think so. It's
you know.
tiny.
Yeah, I guess.
So you kind of go down, and I had a gator on, which was acting as my mask. And I took it off because I had seen videos of this on YouTube, and because you and Dad had never seen this before,
Mm-mm.
so I was like, "Oh, it'll be cool to show them." And I hold my mask up to the natural entrance, and it starts blowing in the wind
Yeah,
that's coming out of the cave.
it was really, really cool.
I mean, it
I
was
mean,
Oh, it was spectacular. I mean, it's little things like that that
Mhm.
just make the National Park Service awesome. I mean, how cool is that that one of the largest caves in the world, and it
Is
has
like
this tiny, well, the only discovered tiny little natural entrance, and it's, blowing wind out of it that could be coming from hundreds of miles away
yeah,
in
it
this
was
inside this
really
cave. I mean,
it was really,
incredible.
really cool. I was like, "Oh my gosh, that is really neat." So I climbed in there in the because 'cause you're
Yes,
kinda, like, down in this little I don't know, just like
kind of little pit thing.
yeah, basically just a pit. And so you just kind of can climb down in there. They've got little steps there that you can go down in there. So I got in there
Right.
and I have, well, longer hair than either you or dad. So I kind of stuck my head by it and my hair was just like I mean, my hair was just blowing everywhere. It was
And
really
I took a cool video of it.
yeah, it's
I'll have
very
to post
interesting.
that one day. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So
Um
that was really cool to see.
mhm. Yeah, I mean, and that really made it kinda worth it. I
Oh
felt
yeah,
like,
for
"Oh, we
sure.
really that was one of the coolest
Like we
things."
didn't get to go in the cave, but at least we got to see this, the
Yeah,
natural entrance. So then we
yes.
headed back to the car, and I was looking on the park brochure that has the map in it. There is like kind of a underground map of where the cave is, and it was like I was looking at it as we're walking along back to the car, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm standing above it.
Mhm.
And it was like all these routes that kept going, weaving through. We must have passed over it a dozen times
Yeah,
just walking to this thing. And it was like, oh, wow. It kind of puts it into perspective since we didn't get to go down there.
yeah.
It's
Well,
like,
what
wow, it's right there.
well, I remember this, I mean, this is sort of off topic, it's about being in a cave, though. We live in Missouri,
Which
so
is,
we
I
had
mean, our kind of more unofficial nickname is the Cave
a cave
State.
state, right? So Missouri has this drive-through cave called Fantastic Caverns,
And if you've been
and
through the Missouri area, you've probably seen billboards for it.
yeah, it's like a big it's down near Springfield. So, we went there one time when Jacob was little, and so you're in this, like, a open air Jeep thing, and you're just driving. So it's that's kinda doable for me because you're never really it's if you're in this Jeep, then it's big enough that it's not squishing you from the sides or anything. So we went in this Jeep, and then at one point they were like, "Okay, and where we are, right above us is the parking lot."
Uh-huh.
And I just that was like, "Oh my gosh," like that it was the big realization for me. "Oh wow, I'm really underground." I don't know, because sometimes you're in those and they seem so big that you don't think about that you're really underground, but yeah, so they said right above us is the parking lot, and that's kind of what I thought of when we were at Wind Cave because this time we were walking through the parking lot, and then the cave was below us.
Yep.
So, but we headed back to the car, and then we are
We saw
going.
some deer.
Oh yeah, some deer were just hanging in the parking lot.
Yeah, that was
But
kind of fun to see.
Jacob had already asked the lady where the buffalo herd was located. Um, or bison, excuse me. I love to see bison and I love to drive up on them wherever I can. And so
Oh,
Jacob had
they're
asked,
just absolutely spectacular.
yeah,
So
so Jacob had
we
asked where it was. So
yeah.
so
We
we
kind of
went
figured
there.
it out, and she showed us the backcountry roads, which is where um the herd likes to hang out.
Hmm.
And so we started to head up that way, and there if you're a prairie dog person, which we aren't,
No.
um you know, th- lots of prairie dogs to see, and there's plenty of pullouts to look at them. Um, so if you're
Yeah,
into
they were.
that, go look at that. It is kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
And so Wind Cave is like Jewel Cave. The surface is beautiful, and I mean, these yellow grasses and
It's very
just
prairie.
it is very prairie. Um,
But it's hillier. I don't know. It is pretty.
all right, well, I'm gonna bring up another nerdy thing here. If you've seen Lord of the Rings, it
Hmm.
kind of looks like Rohan. Like it's just a very like there's rocks and prairie, and
Or
that's
if you're
what it.
like me, you don't know what he's talking about.
But so so we headed north on the road towards Custer State Park, and she said the lady at the visitor center said that we might see some solitary male bison. They like to hang out along that Highway 89 there. Now we didn't see any, but solitary males, if you don't know, they're the big, giant, huge bison that are, as big or bigger than your car.
Hmm.
And we saw one a couple years ago. Well, maybe we can mention that a little later. But they kind of live on their own, and they don't mate anymore. So they just kind of do their own thing and don't really hang out with the curve or with the curve with the herd.
What's that?
Yeah. So we didn't see any, but we were hoping. So just
We didn't see
before the
we didn't see
exit,
these solitary males.
yeah, just before the exit to the park, there's this backcountry road that you go on to, and this leads to where the bison herds like to hang out. So it took us a while to find some, and we were on the verge of giving up. And then all of a sudden, we turned this corner, and there's two big ones hanging out.
Hmm.
And it
Yeah.
was just like,
Oh,
oh
yay.
my gosh, yes, it was. And it was so cool to see. And one of them was just kind of laying in the grass, chilling out. And the other was grazing on grass, I think. And
Hmm.
I mean, they're just and they look so sad.
They do.
And I mean, their story is kind of sad, but I
Yeah.
mean, and they're just such incredible animals, and they're huge.
And they're always just right there. I don't know. We've gotten so many cool pictures of them just
Oh, we
all along the
have
road. We've seen them there. We've seen them in Yellowstone, Teton. We've
Custer.
seen them lots of places. Yeah,
Yep.
they're just cool.
So, um, then we kind of turn around and we see two more that like just suddenly appear. We're like, wait,
Mhm.
where'd the
Yeah,
sitting one go? And then we realize, oh, these are two more.
yeah.
And oh my gosh, they're just so amazing. And if you haven't seen bison, oh, you have to.
Hmm.
They're just they're absolutely incredible. So we and they're the national mammal of the US.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Hmm.
So yeah, we kind of stopped for a couple minutes and took a picture of them. We weren't gonna bother them or anything.
No,
We were staying a good safe distance away.
we were in the car still.
Yes, we were in the car, and don't get out. You
No.
know, I mean, look, this is going to be a bit of a PSA, but these are dangerous animals. I mean, if
Hmm.
you make them mad, I mean, they
Yeah,
look
they will mess you up.
slow and
Yeah.
like they can't move very fast, but these guys can run up to 35 miles an hour.
Hmm.
So I wouldn't make them angry, and they weigh a ton.
Hmm.
So don't get them mad. I'm sitting here recording this at my desk, and there's this yellow pamphlet that says Yellowstone is a dangerous place, and it has this person getting, hit in the back with a bison, like this little drawing. So it's just like, these are not, just be smart.
Right.
Don't make these animals mad. And if you respect their space, they'll respect your space, and you can still get a cool picture and a cool experience. So we headed back, We saw a couple more bison in the far away, right?
Down in this valley thing.
Yeah, it was kind of cool to see. So we got back on the main road, and then like 10 seconds later, we enter Custer State Park,
Hmm.
which is one of the most spectacular state parks you will ever go to. I mean, I put it on the level of Valley of Fire State Park in Nevada, if you don't know what that is, Custer State Park, like Niagara Falls State Park, like that kind of
Yeah, it's
level that
really.
could be a national park, but it's a state park.
Hmm.
I consider it to be, like I just said, an honorary national park because it has just that level of incredible scenery. So there's a couple things in Custer that you can do. There's the wildlife loop trail, which we did this time,
Hmm.
and there's the Needles Highway, which
Yeah,
will which is incredible on its own.
but
Um,
when you go in December, it's closed
yes,
because
it's closed in the winters, right?
the first snow, which can even be in October, then the first snow they close it down because
Yeah,
it's
they don't want
so
they don't want to maintain it.
right. It's just all these hairpin curves and stuff, and they
And
it's
yes, it
just.
would be extraordinarily difficult to plow, so they just don't.
Hmm. So
So
that was kind of a bummer because I wanted to do that. We've done it before, but I
right,
wanted to do it again.
and
And
I
then,
don't remember it, so I wanted to do it too. But that was kind of disappointing, but we knew that
well,
going in, so
yeah, we'll go another day.
yep. So we headed to the wildlife loop, which is I think it's 22 miles,
Hmm.
and you just
22 slow miles, by the way. If you're like,
yes.
I'm going to get this is not going to be a 22-minute venture. This is going to
Yeah,
be like,
60 miles does not equal 60 minutes in general in the Black Hills. It's going to take
right.
you longer than that.
Uh-huh.
So, a slow moving, and basically it's the same scenery, I would say, as Wind Cave. Wouldn't you agree on the
Oh, well,
surface?
it's practically the same thing.
I mean, they
Yeah.
are adjacent.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, basically, if Wind Cave and Custer State Park were merged into the same thing, it'd be like, yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Right. They're very similar.
They're very, yeah. So, um, we passed along and we didn't have good luck with bison. We only saw a few at the beginning,
Right.
and that was it. But what we did see were, what were they?
I don't even know.
I think
This
they donkeys, right? Or were they
Oh,
llamas?
oh, those.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like they have so there are these donkeys that live there, and um they like will come up to your car. They're so used to being fed by humans, and they
Yes.
are and I mean it's not like these seem like the only animals in a park that I've ever seen where it's not like discouraged to, it's kind of just like, oh, they're going to come to your car and it's okay to feed them. That's what they live on. I mean, there's
Right.
no like, don't feed the donkeys. Um, just feed them. And they're
Now,
hilarious. And they kind
and
of,
and double check to make sure you're not supposed to feed them. Like I
oh,
wouldn't, but
I think it's fine.
I mean, we didn't feed them, but
Well, yeah, I don't want them in my car,
so
honestly.
these were gone for a long time, and they've been reintroduced into the area,
Hmm.
and they
Well,
happen to
I
be
think
at
there was
this.
like a fire and they burned or something. Like they
I
didn't get
think
it out of
s-
their
I think
something. I don't
so. It was something really sad, but they've been reintroduced into the area, and they were
know.
at this double wide pullout. They must just hang out there all the
They
time.
do. We saw them there a long time ago, and and people just feed them, and it's just part of the thing.
So it's
So,
like they kind of go up to your window when we're in the truck, and it's a pretty tall truck,
hmm.
and they're all getting up on the. Oh my gosh, it was Fun.
They were kind of like
Those.
licking the door handle and stuff, like
Yes,
trying
they
to, it was
were.
like they were trying to open it with their teeth.
They were looking for
So,
food.
yeah. And these other people were feeding them. So we got some funny pictures of them. But,
They were.
um,
And then they get stuck. One of them stuck his head into Dad's window.
yeah, which
And
was
your window a little bit.
yeah, but I was like, get out.
Yeah, you
I am
were freaked
also,
out.
yeah, as you may have noticed, things freak me out. I'm not really a fan of like, I don't know. Like I
I
don't
was
know.
freaked out by them too. I mean, they were
I'm just
really
like,
cool to see, but I didn't want them in
I'm
my
like,
face.
I don't want to touch you. I just don't.
Yeah,
So,
right.
uh, but anyway, so we saw those, and then that was basically it as far as, um,
Wildlife.
yeah, on that day. And we've been to Custer before and seen just like hundreds
Buffalo
of
jams.
bison. Yeah, but not today, which is it just all depends, I
It's
guess. And
disappointing, but it's nature, you know, you can't,
right.
it's, they're not like telling them go by the road.
Yeah, it's fine. So, but we did
So,
drive
yep.
through there.
And we headed to the Park Visitor Center. I was
Hmm.
curious if they had a stamp because I got a stamp at Valley of Fire State Park in Nevada. They didn't have one, but
No.
and we had to make a quick bathroom break.
Hmm.
So at this point, um, Hangry has taken over again.
Oh, for real. Yeah, we were super. Yeah. And
And
we kind of took an alternate route, I think, back to
we took
Rapid City.
not I think we did. We took the scenic route for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
but that's
yeah,
okay. We went
it
back
was
by Mount
okay.
Rushmore again. We didn't get out of the car, but we drove by. But
Yes,
this point, I didn't even care because I was so hangry.
yes. So,
Yeah.
we headed into Rapid City, where we were
Hmm.
staying, and we stopped at, or this night we decided to eat at the K Pasa. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it was this Mexican restaurant that we love Mexican food. And I had read about it and it wasn't getting great reviews, but it was one of those things like, okay, it's right in downtown Rapid City, which is a really neat little downtown area.
Yes,
And
it
so
is.
we decided we would eat there. Um, and it was really good. I don't know if it was because we were so hungry or what, but it was tasty.
Oh, it was very
Um,
good, and that cheese dip was awesome.
oh yeah, we had a really good cheese dip there. Um,
And
yeah, but
so,
so we're back in downtown Rapid City, which we do have a little story about.
yes, I was just about to bring that up because I
Yeah,
forgot to mention it. So,
yes. One of our listeners listened to our last podcast where we talked about the Hotel Alex Johnson, which is in downtown Rapid City. It's a really
the
old
Hilton
hotel.
Hotel now.
It's a Hilton, but it's still called Alex Johnson.
Yep.
So, and we talked about how I had thought about staying there because we have Hilton points, and then I saw that it's haunted. And
Uh-huh.
so, anyway, my friend at work who had listened to the podcast texts me and tells me that she had listened to it and that she has stayed at the Alex Johnson. And I was like, oh my gosh, did you know it's haunted? And she's like, yes. There is an incident in the elevator. And I'm like, oh, ooh. So we decided that we would, I didn't want to hear it over text. I wanted her to actually tell me the story.
Uh-huh.
So I went to work on Monday and I'm like, hey, you have to tell me. So I think we had mentioned before that it says the most haunted room, I think, is 812.
Yes,
I
and the eighth floor is the
Yeah.
really haunted floor.
Yeah, and then the really haunted room is 812, I think. So she told me that they stayed there. They weren't in that room, but that when they were on the elevator, when they were passing the 8th floor, the elevator like had a little glitch in it and it like the lights flashed and they felt a presence in the elevator. And I was just like, "Ooh." She's telling me the story, and the hair on my arm is just standing straight up. It is giving me the biggest creeps. But I was just like, oh my gosh, someone I know has stayed there and like verified this. That's just, I don't know. It's cool to me.
Yes.
She said it was really freaky.
Yeah,
But
and I was talking to her today and I'm like, "Oh, can we share that on the podcast?" And she was
oh
like,
yeah,
"Oh, yeah, yeah."
yeah.
So,
So
and
yeah,
you know
she
who you
knows.
are. Thanks for listening.
Hi, friend. Thanks for sharing. See, so
Yes.
you guys ever have any stories about anything we talk about that you'd like
Oh,
to
please.
add?
Yes.
Please
And
do.
any Alex Johnson, we can make that a mini segment.
Yeah. So if anyone else has stayed there, they can they can, fill us in on the ghost that lives there. But so
Yes.
that totally
So
freaked
we
me
don't
out. But that
have
was
to
kind of
stay
fun.
there. We can just tell
Yeah,
you all about
really.
it.
I'll let anybody else do the haunted hotel thing. But so we thank her for that fun little story that
Yes.
she shared with us. That's awesome. So yeah, so that was our last day. Well, the next day we went to South Dakota School of Mines, where Jacob has decided he's going to college.
Right.
So, and that is right there in Rapid City, which is super cool because that will give us a fun place to visit when we go visit
That's for
him,
sure.
and then we'll
Yeah.
have something else, we'll have some fun adventures forthcoming there, and then
For
maybe
sure. For sure.
maybe I will go on in a cave someday
Yeah.
again. And
So, yeah, you'll come up and visit me and, "Oh, what are we doing?" "We're going in the
yeah,
cave, mom."
well, I hope you don't say I made you a reservation on this thing and you have to hold your own lantern. Of course, that would be
"Yes, you're
preferable to
staying in
me.
the Alex Johnson Hotel and we're going on the wild cave tour."
That's lovely. I'll
It'll
stay
be
home.
fun.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, went back to our hotel, Comfort Suites again, then woke up,
Mhm.
went on the college tour,
Uh-huh.
and
Um,
then
oh, we ate at another Mackenzie River, which we talked about last time.
yes, we did. And then we started our long drive home.
Right.
So we
And that was
stopped at Chamberlain,
oh yeah.
and I had hopes of getting another stamp. The National Park System or the National Park Service operates several national trail systems that that you can get stamps on, and there actually is, physical trails. So there's the Lewis and Clark Trail, there's the Trail of Tears, the Appalachian Trail is the most famous one, the Pacific Crest Trail, and there's the Pony Express Trail. There's lots of these, and I was hoping I would get the Lewis and Clark Trail stamp, but unfortunately, the visitor center was closed.
Right. So we got there and went running up toward the building so Jake could get his final stamp of the trip, but no dice.
Yep.
So, but we did make that. Oh, that was a long drive. It was a 10-hour drive. We didn't um, really stop anywhere. Well, I guess we stopped and got something to eat when we were in Sioux Falls, but we pretty much just drove straight home
It was.
that
It was
night. But
just yep, straight home.
right. So
And
anyway,
then
good trip.
yes, this was a great trip. And it was just we packed a lot in
We
for
did.
the little time that we were there.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I would highly encourage people to go to the Black Hills. This
Oh
is a
yeah.
great starter trip.
Mhm.
And if you've got younger kids and you kind of
Oh
want
yeah,
to
there's
start
lots
to
to
get them
do.
into vacationing, there's lots of things for kids and to do as a whole family. Yes, you can go to Mount Rushmore and these other places, but you can go to the reptile gardens and
Mhm. The
attractions
1880
like that.
train, the bear
Yes.
country,
Yep.
just all kinds of stuff. That's just a good place to to go and get started.
And now obviously we've kind of transitioned into where we're like, we like the the scenery. That's just what we like, but there's something for everybody there
Mhm.
for sure. So, please go out and see it. You won't
Yes.
be disappointed.
Nope.
And we by no means we did not cover everything in this for sure.
No.
There is such a variety of things to do. There's the whole northern part, which we didn't even hit, like Spearfish
Yeah,
Canyon.
we've driven through there so many times, but we have never been to Spearfish Canyon, and
Yep,
that's
and that's
something
on the
that,
list. The next time we go, that's what we're doing.
right, we need to go there.
And then
Um,
Deadwood, if you're
oh
kind of
yeah,
into, there's that little shootout thing that they do.
yeah,
That's kind
Deadwood's
of fun
really
to see.
kind of fun.
So, I mean, there are so many things to do. And I mean, you could spend a week here for sure.
Hmm.
So, that
So
kind
get
of
out.
wraps it up.
Yeah, it
Our
does.
great trip. I picked a college.
Yes, Jacob picked a college, so he'll be going there next fall, and we'll have a place to visit,
Yep.
and all will be good.
Yep.
So yeah, so we'll probably be back when, Jacob, next week with another edition.
Well, the 15th.
Oh, the
The
15th. Okay.
15th of February is our next episode. So that's another thing I want to mention is that we're probably going to do it on the 15th of every month and maybe the last Friday.
Okay. Yeah, Jacob he keeps me on a schedule. He
But yeah,
just tells me when
follow
to
us
show
on
up.
Twitter and Instagram. You'll get
Yeah, and
all the information there, and I'll keep you updated on what we're up to.
oh, and also today is National Plan Your Vacation Day.
Well,
So,
when this is released, it'll be Friday. So,
oh, I'm
but
sorry. So we're actually recording oops. We're recording this on Tuesday, and that's what today is.
so yeah,
But
go plan your vacation to the Black Hills.
yay, or wherever. Anyway, we support all vacationing.
That's right. So
Yes.
thank you all for listening, and remember to go out and see the world. Bye.
Yay. Bye.
Have a great day, everybody.